Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier in absentia, Honorable members of the Executive Council, Honorable members of the Eastern Cape Legislature, traditional leaders and religious formations, departmental officials, our esteemed guests. I can see we are left with only one. Ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. Allow me, Honorable Speaker, to table the annual and half-yearly financial reports on behalf of Honorable Saziwa, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Education, who is on sick leave. Let me start with the annual report from Program 1 to Program 7. Where are the members of the Portfolio Committee?
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Acting Chair, for... It can't only be one, honorable members. Just wait till they are there, Honorable
My worry
Mathubela.
is my time.
No, your time is protected.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm the whip of that committee. I want to see you. Where are you? No. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me deal with Program 1. I'll quickly go to recommendations. The department must provide the committee with corrective measures to avert the issue of accruals. Honorable members, who can turn to page 692. B, the department, working closely with the Office of the Premier, must speed up the process of broadband connectivity to schools in rural areas. Budget cuts are inevitable. The department must strive to live within the means. The department must present a time-bound turnaround plan that will improve the audit outcome, and such report must reach the committee within 30 days after the adoption of this report. The department must present a plan on how it intends to alleviate this challenge. F, the department must explore mechanism of sourcing funds from Treasury so as to ensure that all deserving learners are transported. G, whilst the department is tightening the internal control systems, an investigation must be conducted, and those found are liable, necessary sanction must be instituted. H, the committee must be provided with a list of cases that are finalized, the days for those that are still pending, and timeframes on when these cases will be finalized within 30 days of the adoption of this report. I, the department must ensure that it pays service providers within 30 days as required by Treasury regulations, and there must be consequence management against officials who failed to do so. J, the department must speed up the process of filling the post for the smooth running of the department. Program 2, that is Public Ordinary Schools Education. Recommendation A, the department must deliver as per its policy, wherein funds should follow functions. B, the department must conduct regular capacity building sessions in order to capacitate school principals and teachers, as these documents are basic for the efficient and effective running of any school. C, the department must assist the schools in upholding the retrieval policy and further conduct workshop sessions with the aim of educating parents on the importance of this policy. D, all deserving schools must be provided with furniture before the schools reopen. E, the department must provide the committee with the mechanism to alleviate under expenditure on infrastructure grant. F, the department must ensure that circuit managers and district officials are visible to support schools. Then program 3, independent schools. Recommendations. The department must assist and encourage the school to meet the deadlines so as to enable to receive the trenches on time. B, the department must ensure that independent schools are monitored and supported as the law requires. Program 4, public special schools. Recommendation A, the department must develop a proper retention strategy in recognition of scarce skills and make the salaries more lucrative. B, the department must ensure that all 741 learners are placed in special schools in the next financial year, but also taking into cognizance the proximity. C, the department must ensure that all vacant posts are filled within this financial year, and the committee must be provided with the progress report within 30 days of the adoption of this report. D, the department is commended for finally approving the norms and standards for special schools, and these must be fully implemented in the next financial year. E, the department must ensure that all outstanding historic overtime payments are implemented within this financial year. Program 5, early childhood education. Recommendation A, the department must ensure that all vacant funded posts are filled within this financial year for effective teaching and learning. B, the provincial department must liaise with the national department to speed up the process of finalization of ECDC practitioners such that they are able to get benefits as other professional staff. Program 6, infrastructure development. Recommendation A, the department must provide the committee with a turnaround plan that will avert the under expenditure. The plan must reach the committee after 30 days of adopting this report. B, the department must refrain from not paying contractors on time so as to avoid the issue of contractors leaving sites without finishing the work. C, the department must ensure that schools are provided with proper sanitation and water, and a progress report in this regard must be provided to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of this report. D, the department must ensure that the unit is populated with qualified technicians. E, the department must ensure to deliver on the promise regarding 120 schools in the next financial year. The committee must be furnished with time-bound plan for the remaining schools, and the plan must reach the committee by no later than 30 days. Program 7, examination and education-related services. Recommendation A, the department must have plan with clear timeframes on how it intends to address the issue of shortage of mathematics, science, Africans, and Sesotho educators. The plan must be submitted to the committee within 30 days. B, the department must speed up the process of rationalization of schools and further ensure that funds follow function. C, the department must ensure that proper monitoring is done to curb the issue of late submission of invoices. General findings, I'll quickly just go straight to general recommendations. The department must ensure that consequence management is implemented in officials who have put the department on disrepute. Two, the department must strengthen its financial system so as to avoid over and under expenditure, as this is against the PFMA. 3, the department must stick to the stipulated requirement for filling of posts and to avoid being returned to Treasury. The next report, Honorable Speaker, is the half-yearly financial oversight report. Program 1, recommendation A, the department must look at the option of budgeting for the accruals to avoid negative impact on budget allocations. B, the post of EDOs and circuit managers must be filled within this financial year. C, the department must demonstrate its commitment to establish the said schools as agricultural schools by ensuring that they are necessarily resourced. D, the department must make sure that district officials perform their task as expected, and if necessary, consequence management must be instituted. Recommendation under public schools. Recommendation A, the department must ensure tight monitoring of the bursary program so as to be able to reflect on the value for money. B, the department must ensure that all teacher vacant funded posts are filled within this financial year. Independent schools. Recommendation A, in the event that the school reapplies for 2023 and complies with the policies and prescripts, the department must ensure that the necessary support is given to the school so as to avoid the same incurrence. Recommendation B, the department must ensure that consequence management is implemented against the district officials who failed to do their job and as such caused the department to be in disrepute. Public schools, public special schools. Recommendations A, the department must furnish the committee with a cash-up plan on how it is going to make sure that funds are spent before the end of financial year.
You have 4 minutes remaining, honorable member.
B, the department must furnish the committee with the strategies that are meant to avert the over expenditure at the end of the financial year. Program 5, recommendation A, all vacant funded posts must be filled within this financial year. The department must consider the option of budgeting for the accruals to avoid the negative impact on the budget allocation. Program 7, recommendation B, the department must explore mechanism to motivate qualifying educators to form part of marking. Under general findings and general recommendations, the department must present a turnaround plan to address the backlog, and such a report must be submitted to the committee within 30 days. Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity on behalf of the Portfolio Committee on Education to thank the committee members, the Honorable MEC for Education, the acting HOD, and their management team. And I therefore table both the annual and half-yearly financial reports for consideration, Honorable Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Matkubela. Honorable members, clarity by the committee members? Yes, I see only one, Honorable Fihlani.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And ndizawucela ukuqonda nje owandikhanuka ukuqonda ke ake nditsho kanjalo. Apha ekomitini kule nto ine-transfer ye-ECD, uba imali yakhona ikhona nakule gini okanye kuhambe nje iziqu zabantwana from social development. ngoba nditsho loo nto uba eyesibini kuba ugrade R engabali ukhona kodwa kabali okanye ude wabalwa ngokuba ezilinani elidibanayo labantwana bonke ngoba udla ngobekwe ecaleni kuthiwa igrade R kubalwa inani elithile. Okokugqibela ke ingaba ke ngoku xa kuvulwa apha kule ka-half year xa kuvulwayo izikolo i-LTSM le izabe ikhona xa benihleli nesebe. Ndiyabulela Somlo.
Thank you so much, Honorable Fihlani. No other member. Over to the committee. You can delegate as the acting chair. You can delegate.
Incwadi zizabe zikhona naSomlomo uxolo ngokungakathi undikhombile. Zizabe zikhona neincwadi nento zokubhala lento kuthiwa yi-LTSM kulo nyaka ozayo kule ka-half year ke ngoku.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, all the plans of the ECDC, I'm sorry, ECD, sendisiya ngoku kule ndijonge Comrade Mfoko, Honorable Mfoko. The ECD functions have been already transferred to the Department of Education with all the necessary resources and the educators as well. Coming to the stationery for the learners, everything is in place. Yes, 100% sure. Yes, at Great R. The MEC was even there with the managers.
Thank you so much, Honorable
So
Mathubela.
our storerooms are packed with stationery and everything.
Can we then, any clarities by the MEC? Honorable Stevenson, the only one, and Honorable Banga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I did say to the Honorable Banga, if people don't like us asking questions, we can always ask other members of the caucus to do it. Yeah. Mine is on page 700, finding 2C. It says, out of 17 agricultural schools visited, only 2 are functional. And if I could just, when the MEC responds, if she could just expand on that, how can only 2 out of 17 be functional, whereas the honourable member from the ATM so eloquently espoused that agriculture is the economic saviour of the province. Surely there needs to be some action there to fix it, if she could just expand on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Banga.
MEC, as a member of the executive, just explain to us, as the people of the Eastern Cape, this disjuncture between the Department of Agriculture and Department of Education. Agriculture claims that it's doing very well in supporting education, but your report states that only 2 out of 17 schools that were visited are functional. I was there. Do you understand what is happening in our agricultural schools? Or is the MEC for agriculture that does not understand what is happening to agricultural schools? That's the first one. Can you put your neck on the block in saying by January, on the first day of school, that all our children in the Eastern Cape will be receiving their books, and the schools will have received their books? Because I can assure you that the caucus of the DA, when schools are open, it will be there just to monitor and check that those books are there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable MEC.
No, thanks. Good afternoon to you, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. Your established protocol is observed. We have got 17 agricultural schools in the province, so to say, Honorable Speaker. They are categorized into 3. You have got the 2 that are fully functional. You have got your which has got almost everything that is needed in an agricultural institution. Whether you talk about machinery, whether you talk about farms, fencing, production of food, farming, and all that stuff. There are 2. You have got 17 that have got challenges that relates to the machinery that is required, 7 of them, but also they do have your farming areas, your irrigation schemes, and all that stuff. But when you look into them, because the purpose of establishing agricultural schools is to reinvent the wheel in terms of ensuring that you produce food hubs, but also create an environment of a skills vocational schooling system within basic education itself. So what I can confirm, Speaker, is that our strategic goal now is to take the 7 in terms of the policy and also the resourcing into category 1, the 2 that we're talking about, so that you are able to respond to the 3-streamed model that we have already adopted as a province and also the department, so to speak. On the learner support material, we have already started delivering learner support material on the 1st of November. And we were on the back foot in terms of the textbooks because of that court order, if you still remember. But however, on the 7th of November, we have already done with the textbooks. Now, we are almost at 78% now delivery of the stationery. Our target was that we must be able to have a mop-up strategy between the 1st of December to the 7th of December, which was targeting that the schools might have closed up post the 7th of December. But however, the HOD have reactivated the teams back so that you can be able to respond, in particular around Bizana, Lusikisiki, and some areas in the northern area of the Port Elizabeth, where we were having a glitch of delivery. But of course, the service providers over the weekend were working very closely to that space. So I can safely say all the schools are going to have their learning support material, Honorable Speaker, by the first day of schooling in the province. So our systems are working quite very well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can we then hand over to the DA, Honorable Banga? Your 12 minutes starts now.
I'm not in that department, please, ma'am. Honorable Speaker, Honorable MEC, I stand in front of you as a leader of the official opposition. Not only that, but as a resident from Nelson Mandela. Many of our schools in Nelson Mandela, black schools, are being vandalized, destroyed on a daily basis. Gqeberha High School, NX Khosana, and many of our historic schools are down. What the city wants, we want to protect your schools on behalf of the department. In the period that we are not utilizing them, the danger is, if you keep allowing these schools to be vandalized in the manner in which they are occupied, is that the space for schools is going to be closed. Our planning in Nelson Mandela is that we'll never have open space for us to develop schools when we have transformed our education. And the Department of Public Health refuses an offer from the municipality to manage and protect our school. It hurts us because our history is being eradicated. Our heritage is being destroyed. It's just an offer. I'm just reminded of one thing, that in my growth in politics, I started in the student movement. What we wanted to fight for is free and compulsory education. To make sure that all our kids have access to quality education. That is not only going to produce quantitative results, but qualitative results. We simplified our call in saying we will achieve this through make sure that our schools have a conducive environment for learning and a conducive environment for teaching. That our ideal education system will produce the quality of teachers, which will produce a quality of output. But what is happening in our education system today is that the environment is not conducive for learning. I went to Somerset with the committee. Our children in a primary school in Somerset, they live in shacks and shelter, an environment which is not conducive for learning for young kids. The people of Alisdale, the only beacon of hope they have, it's a small primary school that continue to produce quality of results. The struggling teachers in the high school have been waiting for a period of time for a high school to be built with empty promises from the department, no clear plan. The community in Alisdale only relies on building of those schools. Those people in Alisdale have no hope, have no work, have no future. Many of those kids, the only thing that makes them look better is the primary school. Therefore, what is your plan as a Department of Education? MEC, it's a shame. Let me just give you a short story. And I can see many of you brags about colonialism and all that, that's fine. But let me remind you of a few lessons. Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua liberated the people of Nicaragua as a progressive liberation fight, but who was removed in a short space of time. Because his limitation, he thought history of liberation will keep him going on in running South Africa, in the country. Sandinista is out of government. Let me open up your eyes 20 years, 8 years after. You can't produce and give us one single equal system of education. Mr. Matiwane talks about the apartheid special framework. For 28 years, the African National Congress have failed to address the integration of our people in PE. I agree with him in one thing. When you go to Warmer Heights, where I stay, many of our people come in taxis. I went to school to make sure that I stay where Abantu Banemali are. When the taxis come, it's the poor people, our parents, who come in taxis.
Honorable Banga, there's a hand. Yes, Honorable Wana, you are raising what rule?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to check the honorable member whether they can take a question. Honorable
Are you prepared to take a question, Honorable Member?
No?
Unfortunately not, Honorable Wana.
After my 12 minutes, I will take it. I can take it. Therefore, the people who have failed to address the apartheid special framework is not the 300 years of colonization. It's the 28 years of the ANC rule. It's symbolism that instead of liberating the schools that continue to suffer because of infrastructural problems, under expenditure of 300 million rand, to equip and improve the standard of the schools that were oppressed, you're destroying even the schools that work. Is that 300 years of oppression? No, it's the 28 years of mismanagement of the Department of Education. You have broken each and everything that works and substituted it with failure. You have reduced the standard of qualification. Let me tell you, Honorable Member, I was an SRC president in the NNMU. The worst situation our children continue to face is that they host parties to celebrate that they have passed. But when they are received in these universities, they are rejected that you do not only you're not only not qualifying for a subject, you don't even qualify to come closer here in the school. Many of our children have committed suicide because of a false hopes of a qualification that does not necessarily give them access to institutions of higher learning. Do you know what the government of the ANC have done? Have created TVET colleges as a dumping site for black children. With what? Poor quality of lecturing staff. A biology teacher teaching civil engineering. Bobby's children, my friend here. Yes, yes, yes. In these technical colleges, a biology teacher teaches civil engineering. That's what the quality of education you are giving to our children. Destroying a majority and a number of children, dumping them to further education and training. That's how the ANC has mismanaged education. I'm raising these issues to put them into your attention, to understand that theory without practice is useless. The only key we can liberate South Africa is through utilizing this Department of Education and use it effectively, not only qualitatively, and want to promote numbers, and improve the quality of learning in our schools and the quality of teaching, and provide adequate infrastructure. Many of our kids still study under asbestos, which is a health hazard. I'm reminded of a school in Alistair, where our children are drinking water through a tank that is taking water from asbestos. And we've asked myself and Honorable Mkhaga, to what extent will this water that our children are drinking going to affect them? And we couldn't get an answer. Everybody cannot provide an answer. Here's money that is underspent by our department. What consequences are you going to put in place? There are good schools we have went to. We went to a school in Kugaus.
You have 3 minutes remaining, Honorable
One
Member.
of the best schools. A school that was struggling, where the department introduced a capable manager of the school which turned around the school. The results that were produced were outstanding. But that school still tries for the support that the departments can do. The involvement of teachers in that community have been very impressive. We're also impressed by one police officer in that school. It's an area where people drink and drugs. A police officer goes and collects those kids door by door, when they are not at school. We commended that police officer for a job well done. Therefore, it shows when there's a parent community and school involvement that schools can work. But I want to say in closing, Honorable MEC, theory without practice is useless. We can't hold on the past of colonialism. Let us learn from Singapore. The people in Singapore were oppressed by the Malays. They wanted to fight the Malays and stick on their oppression until they realized that they needed the Malays. Singapore today is the best performing economy. Until we understand in South Africa that Bobby Stevenson, Cobus Porter, and that gentleman sit there are equally South Africans, and we can work together to build a South Africa. That's the only time we can liberate our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Banga. I call upon Honorable Zinti from the UDM. Your 4 minutes starts now, Honorable Member.
Honorable Speaker, as the UDM, we welcome the arrest of Makonzile Lukope and his daughter Naledi Lukope. The pair were arrested early in the year. Mr. Lukope, through his company Amabongwe, which needs to be blacklisted in all government departments from national to local government, allegedly committed fraud through mispresentation and with intention to defraud the Department of Education.
hope the department's funds will be recovered and let the law take its course. The poor management within the department remains the biggest challenge, and the ANC-led government is not bothered with wasteful and fruitless expenditure with no accounting or consequence management, because they know that we as the citizen, we will continue to fund their corruption through fuel and tax levies. Poor infrastructure in the Eastern Cape Education Department have not shown the consistent political will to ensure that schools in the province are fixed with urgency needed. The government's seeming inability to cap the crisis and the consequences of defunding basic education. Provincial education department suspended almost all building projects because there is not enough money for their completion. These budget cuts and their impact on providing urgently needed schools infrastructure will have devastating consequences on learners and teachers. Safe and dignified schools infrastructure to ensure quality education for all learners across the province. This is because school infrastructure is not just about safety, but impacts pupil well-being. The minimum uniform norms and standards for public school infrastructure stipulates the basic level of amenities and services that every school must have to function correctly, signed into existence by Basic Education Minister, Honorable Angie Motshekga, over 8 years ago. The improvement in school infrastructure delivery in the Eastern Cape is too slight. But it is too slight. The department needs to lead on drive of autism awareness in the province and work with different stakeholders. It is important as the department to keep ECDC opened in order to pick early signs on a child and get help that is needed earlier. Singabulela ke Dlamini okokubana incwadi ebunyanisweni singathi xa kuvulwa izikolo sifike zikhona. Ngokuba sibi isijuli esisivileyo kulonyaka sabantu bekhalela ukuthenga incwadi kanti kwakuthiwe imfundo imahala.
You have 1 minute remaining, Honorable Member.
Okokugqibela, siyabawela ke si-UDM ukuba uDlamini njengokuba sowuzinikezele ekwenzeni ezi zikolo but slightly honorable Kade then usoske ujonge uqwalasele nezindlu zangasese kwezi zikolo ingakumbi kwizikolo ezisemaphandleni. Umzekelo isikolo sasemvubu, imvubu SPS, ngaphaya eLusikisiki. Enkosi, Honorable Speaker, the UDM accept the report.
Thank you so much. Honorable Mampofu from the ATM. Your 3 minutes starts now.
I was still listening to you. Good evening, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to repeat myself again. It will sound like I'm repeating myself because it's only the truth that will set us free. Nothing else. If we as Africans, we don't want to agree and accept that we've got a challenge, we will keep on fighting one another. And the one who is imposing challenges upon us will rejoice. We as African Transformation Movement, we are here just for peace, so that everything can be solved. Otherwise, without peace, I'll be repeating this, we'll be pointing at one another. Ordinary people with good characters, because of the system, That is what I'm trying to say. We must learn to unlearn, to fight for what is oppressing us. In 1976, our youth, 400 and something children, died fighting for English. Yes, that is the truth. Against Africans for English. That is the truth. Because there was an ideology that was instilled in their minds that made them to fight for what is not of them. Until we realize that truth, no one will be able here to rescue the situation we are in. It's not a political party issue. It's not an individual's issue. It's a systems issue that need us to
You have
come
1 minute
together
remaining, Honorable Mampofu.
in peace and be able to resolve the challenges that are facing us. It's true, there is no man like Honorable MEC, Mr. Gade, who doesn't understand what is happening there. But now, because of the situation, we may end up pointing fingers at him instead of coming and support him so that we achieve what we want to achieve. We as African Transformation Movement, we are here for that, to support everything that is good, that is going to make progress in this country. And the report that is being said, that is being tabled here, we really appreciate the good effort that they've done. We thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mampofu. From the ANC, Honorable Mkhaga. I thought you would have started the long walk, Honorable Mkhaga. Honorable Mkhaga, your 18 minutes starts now.
No, thanks, Honorable Speaker. I thought Honorable Banga would first appreciate the growth and the investment that we did to him as a person. African National Congress, including Honorable Bobby Stevenson. When we merged SANSCO and NUSAS to produce SASCO, he was a member of NUSAS, Bobby Stevenson. Now, I don't know what happened in their mind, in the process. They will tell us later what happened. Nicaraguans realized when they were leading a revolution in Nicaragua, and I just want to complete that chapter because he left it halfway for convenience. After the surrogates of CIA destabilized Ortega, Nicaraguans were misled, and indeed, they removed Ortega from power. But few years later, they went back to approach Ortega to stand for election and confessed that they were misled by elements from CIA sent by America to destroy the revolution in Nicaragua. They voted unanimously for Ortega back into office. And that's the area that is living out. That whether there's ambitions to remove us from power through misleading, must understand that the working class becomes sober at a particular point in time to understand the challenges that we're. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, and MECs, honorable members, let me extend our fraternal greetings this afternoon or evening. All revolutions are about the interest of the working class and the poor. All revolutions. South African Revolution was no exception. The intention was to defeat apartheid colonialism for the total liberation of our people. The National Democratic Revolution was designed to give us freedom and the total liberation in our country. Freedom is nothing else but a set of rights to be enjoyed at a particular moment. But liberation is about ownership and control of the means of production. Maybe this is a mistake we made in Codesa, not to talk about ownership and control of the means of production in this country. Hence today you get such remarks. And perhaps we're obsessed by peace because we wanted a peaceful transition in this country so that all our people, black and white, unite in the process of rebuilding this particular country. Unfortunately, that was seen as a weakness from our side by the opposition parties today. The land question, property, the economy, education, occupies a central stage of a base structure. Organizations like ourselves, opposition, and everybody else occupy a superstructure. But a superstructure is always influenced by a base structure in economic terms. Who controls the base structure will always have the hegemony over society. And if we agree that South Africa is a capitalist economy, then we must understand what is happening today in terms of the reactions. It is the base structure that is in control of the superstructure. If the base structure favors the monopoly capital, therefore it means society will always be under influence of a capital through captains of industries. And the organization that represents that ideology, and those organizations are found in all legislatures in the country. They are led by a Democratic Alliance, Freedom Front. Because theirs is to protect the previous privileges accumulated during the apartheid era. And therefore, they must flood this institution so that we don't move for the benefit of our people during this time. And I'm raising this because working class is always under siege from a capital. It does not contribute for the development of the future of our children through the education system in this country. They are always under siege because the private capital has monopolized the previous institution created by apartheid, like your former Model C school. They don't talk about that here. That the fact that our schools are struggling to survive is precisely because whites in this country are refusing to share the resources they accumulated through our blood during the era of apartheid in this country. They are refusing.
Order,
They don't want to
Speaker.
share
Order,
those
Speaker.
resources during
Speaker.
this time.
Order.
And I'm raising this because
Sorry,
education is not a neutral
Honorable
phenomenon.
Mkhaga, there's an order, yes. What is
Can
the
I
order?
ask a question to Honorable Mkhaga?
No. You can call me later on.
Because the 300 million rand is not
Sorry,
You
wise.
can call
Honorable
me-
Banga.
Call me later on.
Under
Honorable
expenditure,
Banga,
it's not wise.
Honorable Banga, the honorable member, as indicated, is not prepared to take a question. Thank you. You may proceed, Honorable Mkhaga.
Education is not a neutral phenomenon. Education always defines the future of a society. Was revolutions about ensuring that fundamentally, in developing any country from the ashes, you put education at the center of its development. And this is exactly what the African National Congress is doing. Hence, we declared education as priority number 1, health as priority number 2. We knew very well the challenges that are going to confront us during the time of transforming this particular country. Power relations are always informed by the ownership and control of the means of productions. And therefore, what it means, what these forces are representing against our people, who are still trapped in poverty, not because of their own sake, but because it was, and another honorable member said, the poverty is not a natural phenomenon. It's man-made. And over 300 years, 400 years, whites in this country who colonized us ensured that even if you can get this freedom, you will take time to address and redress the imbalances of the past. That's what they ensured. And therefore, education is not an exception. And what becomes a challenge is when we are having honorable members who pretend as if they understand the central question. The central question here is for us collectively, as the people of this country, citizens of this province, to respect the future of our children in this particular province of the Eastern Cape. We can legislate and force those who are refusing, even the capital of industry, the monopoly capital, to make contribution to education. But we don't want to do that. We're still working on their conscience. But when times come, we'll legislate and compel those who can go to Grey, you can go to Lawson Brown, you can go here in Sterling. There are millions in the bank, not coming from government, supported by private capital. Because that's the agenda of the monopoly capital, that their children must never be exposed to poverty, unemployment. You can go to that. It's deliberately, it's designed. And we know that we're aware of that. If this MEC can follow up on those bank accounts and compare them to declare the source of this money, because money is deposited to bank accounts of schools, belongs to government, those monies. But we don't want to do that because we are still massaging each other, understanding the environment. We are still persuading each other in understanding the challenges. And therefore, the question of inequalities, deepening poverty, unemployment, is designed by monopoly capital. So because it understands that once a black majority arose out of these ashes, it will be very difficult for them even to rule. They constitute a ruling class. Why a ruling party? But they constitute a ruling class because the ownership of means of production is in their hands. And that is why they are going to behave in a mysterious way, because the ownership is in their hands, holding the political power. And I'm saying gradually and steadily, we're going to reach that stage. We're going to reach that stage of ensuring that our children's dignity is protected at all material time in this country. This province belongs to the people of this province, black and white. And we're not confused when we're saying so. We're not confused. We understood the central question of redressing the imbalances of the past through a revolution. That's why we're talking about the total liberation of our people, not a set of freedoms that we have. Now, what I'm trying to say, honorable members, is that, and it's a question, Chair, to the honorable Speaker, that if whites in this province are not prepared to extend their arm, as we've been extending our arm, so that we close the ranks and address all these problems. Instead, they use this platform to criticize us at all material times for their own advantage. At a particular point in time, people of this province and this country would take a decision and legislate laws that are not going to be nice to some of us. The responsibility that we have, Honorable Chair, is to provide infrastructure in our schools, is to provide sanitary towels to our girl children, is to provide learner support materials qualitatively and quantitatively to ensure, and we're happy because we visited some of the schools, they are confirming that the learner material has arrived in their schools. Just to respond to that particular question. The schooling system in rural areas and township has a potential to excel across, provided the monopoly capital releases resources equally to all our schools. We must get rid of illiteracy in our society, dilapidated schools, bucket system of pit Latin, provide health services and psychosocial support to our schools. Because we are agreeing, all of us, that the challenge of underdevelopment has got an impact, a negative impact with development of our people. We must encourage the Department of Education to apply consequences for wrongdoing. The department must plan to get clean audit. In due course, the department must ensure that education is a revolution itself. Education is about the transformation of society. It's about the future of this country. Education, democracy for the working class and the black majority in this country is unquestionable. The population of this country are black people. And there's nowhere in the world where the majority ifanya umnqwazi phansi kwe-minority. There's nowhere in the world. It's only here where the minority is still puffed up by power because they are in control of the economic means at the expense of the black majority in this particular country. And that's not racist politics. It's a question of facing the realities that are confronting all of us here. Access to education, free and compulsory education, indeed, is correct. And we're still on track in ensuring that our children get that free and compulsory education. People's budget supported by major sectors. And we identified the agriculture, mining industry, and state-owned enterprise to support education and health. We have not done that. The fact that we're dealing with austerity measures is because we have not yet ensured that these big sectors or major sectors in our economy are supporting the major sectors that benefits our people, primarily education and health, supported by agriculture as far as this. Honorable Speaker, we think it's important that our education system is repurposed. Our education system must ensure that it is repurposed for technical
Honourable Member, you have 3 minutes remaining.
For technical and agricultural orientation, so that the question of skills is at the center. TVETs must make a contribution to the development of skills in this particular province. TVET cannot be regarded as ivory tower in our society. They must make a meaningful contribution in supporting both primary education, secondary education, and higher education. There are 12 TVET institutions in this province, but they are all controlled nationally. Their councils are nationally, and we don't know exactly what is it that they are doing in collaborating with the Department of Education in the province. And perhaps those institutions, the repurposing of such institutions might aid value in terms of ensuring that our education system improves, but also responds to the basic needs of our people in terms of both skills and development. The issue of sanitary towels. If you are able to provide condoms to a boy child, what is it that is difficult to provide sanitary towel for a girl child? And I'm saying here, education through LTSM program must provide, in collaboration with social development and health, provide this basic necessity. It's a right, it's not a privilege to a girl child. And during this campaign against gender violence, it's one of the central questions that we must address, agree, reach consensus that in the next financial year, sanitary towels are going to be provided free of charge to our girl children in this particular province. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honourable Mkhakha. I now call upon MEC Honourable Gade. Your 10 minutes starts now, Honourable Gade.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. Should be an evening now. Good evening to you. Good evening to the fellow MECs, DG and HODs of the sector departments, honorable members, members from the gallery. I would want to first welcome the report, Honorable Speaker noted, accept it as well with its own findings and recommendations, and commit that we will have to find a way tactically to make sure that its footprint find expressions in the levers of government in this current form of the Department of Education. But there are just few issues that probably, as part of enhancing, empowering the discussion, probably we need to look into from a broad strategic framework kind of. Honorable Speaker, allow me to say to honorable members, let's rather integrate and equalize. Because education is an equalizer, by the way. Honorable Mbanga, education is a transference of ideas, skills, knowledge from the dead to the alive. I'm just raising that so that we resist the temptation of engulfing ourselves with politics of survivalist, because they have got a potential to divert and distort the fundamentals, and in the process feed a wrong narrative out there which might catch up with us in the long run. So we must at least find a solution, no matter how difficult the struggle is, but not distort issues. We'd rather be naked than to lie. We rise here, Honorable Speaker, to accept and that the learning losses that has incurred in the past 2 years has been devastating entirely in the country. And they have been devastating entirely in the worldwide. And therefore, continuously developing and enhancing robust mechanisms to support the schools and the learners to cope with the workloads that may result from the attempts to recover the teaching and the learning time. I'm rising with this debate here so that we don't lose sight. This is a department of education. Key to its function is teaching and learning. Of course, creating an environment that is conducive for that is part of its own task. But I think it is also imperative to note, Speaker, that the financial year under review further marked the midpoint of the 2019-2024 term of office of the sixth administration of the democratic government in the country, and the 2019-2024 medium-term expenditure framework. A key focus in the reporting period that we are engaged on now was to assess the extent to which progress towards the long-term sector targets have been compromised by the pandemic and other challenges that confront us. I'm just reminding the members so that we don't lose sight. A major achievement, Honorable Speaker, for us relates to the ensuring that there is access to schools and also speaks to the social wage provision of our government. We know as Eastern Cape that school enrollment are second highest in the country with 92%. And that the learners want to be at school because they know very well that that's where they get, at times, in the majority of cases, foods rather than in their households. If I can take you back into the memory lane, you'll remember a serious discussion in the country when the COVID-19 arises. Whether are we capable of understanding the dialectics between reopening and closing of schools and the impact thereof from a social security point of view of the learners? Hayi ndithi nje mandikhumbuze nje bakwakho kwakholo ngxoxo apha. Yoba ubuya sivala isikolo uyayiqonda na into ubana bakhona abantu esizibelala betyile batye ezikolweni. So it's not just about the opening or closing of schools, but with other intended and unintended consequences that probably you needed to find answers on. Again, Chair, with regards to learner attainment improvement strategy, the program is aimed at providing the support for grade 12 that we know, but we want to bring this discussion here because it seems as if we have forgotten that whatever that you have done, unfortunately, uba batshonile abantwana babantu, we have all failed here. We can build all those schools. If those kids failed by January, you are equally have not done anything for that matter. So I'm just reminding you that don't take your eyes off the ball. Because once they fail and not perform to the standard required, having built schools of the world class, first world class, you haven't done anything in terms of what is expected here. So we need to balance up, Honorable Speaker, our interventions. And again, Chair, because you wanted to quote a charter here, which was not a liberal. You can't understand us. Because you wanted to quote a charter of 1955 from a liberal point of view. So you can't understand me. So there is nothing wrong on you not understanding. I'm then saying, Program Director, as a closing discussion from us, probably we need to strengthen up and agree that we needed to strengthen up the financial conduct of the institution, because the majority of the report findings talks to either the absence and the coherence of the strategy of the department from a document management point of view. Hence, you would have a problem whether you talk about payments of service providers, payments of gratuities, and payments of other entities like your implementing agencies. So I'm saying that's another issue. But lastly, it is going to be also important that we resolve the unresolved issues. We are in agreement, honorable members, that basic education must also talk to the strategic output of higher education in the country. And that's why we were then adopting the three-streamed model. Precisely because
Honourable Member, you have 2 minutes remaining.
Precisely, thanks, Honourable Speaker, precisely because you are not going to be able to respond to the demand and supply of the market without debating that and engaging on that. But lastly, on the professionalization of the ECD sector, we are busy engaging on that. In the last session of the strategic planning session of the department, key to the question, Honorable Speaker, was how do we then customarize, institutionalize the 5x5 model So that as basic education, you are able to anticipate the kind of a kid that is coming, even far before it arrives here on earth. You are able to look very closely at the household health profiles, so that you don't just build schools for the sake of building schools, but you build schools on the basis of what then becomes the supply and demand. For example, you are able to say how many schools of autism that must be built, because you have been able to be interactive with the Department of Health and therefore get that profile and indicators. So it's another strategy that I think will resolve the foundation phase teaching and learning, which is critical for us as a country to resolve. We are currently, as a country and worldwide, producing learners that cannot read and write. And we can't be sitting here and brush out on that. So we needed to be able to say what then becomes a national strategy in capping this demonic virus of learners that are produced by system
Honourable
but
MEC,
cannot read
your
and
time
write.
is up.
So thanks, Honourable Speaker. We welcome the report and we accept it. We thank the Portfolio Committee for the encouragement and also the zeal that they have done in so far, such that we are where we are.
Thank you, Honourable MEC.
Thanks so much, Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable members, I put the report. Any objections? Thank you, honourable members. This has surely been a very informative and energetic session with lots of laughs. But unfortunately, we conclude the discussion on this matter and the business also for the day. Please be reminded that the House will adjourn until tomorrow, the 8th of December at 10 a.m. Thank you so much, honourable members.